Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Rutgers Rebuild Dynasty here on College Football 27. Our Scarlet Knights riding high on a 2-0 start after a big win last time out against Boston College, our first road test of the season. But the test gets a little tougher this week as we're hosting the number 10 USC Trojans. Each of these teams coming in at 2-0. Warren Wolf, a flawless start to the tenure, but it gets a lot tougher, as we said here today, our first major test of the year as we're starting to get into that tough Big Ten schedule as we're able to go undefeated so far in non-conference play. We do have Marshall next week to close that out, but a top 10 team here in Piscataway. A huge test for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights as we have not won a ranked matchup since 2009, let alone against a top 10 team. And the Trojans, led by Jayden Maiava, very high hopes as they also brought in one of the top recruiting classes in the nation. And we're now underway here from Piscataway as the Rutgers Scarlet Knights looking to go 3-0 to start this dynasty. Deshaun Benjamin on the return as he'll be brought down short of the 20-yard line. And there's Coach Warren Wolf, as we said, a 2-0 start. And there's Antoine Raymond, Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week last week in that huge win against Boston College, over 230 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns. He has been the main piece in our offense. We have relied on him heavily, and we'll probably continue to do that here today as AJ Sarace again gets to start for the third straight week, although Dylan Lonergan probably poised for some playing time, and we'll start it on the ground there for Raymond. He gets 8. And this Warren Wolf offense heavily relying on the running game, and here we're going to mix in some triple option, get Ben Black out on the pitch as we do get it to him as he's going to try and win the corner. And he does not get the juke move, but he does get the first down, a gain of 4. Now here we're going to go play action, but with that light box, we'll just check it to a run, as we often will do. If the numbers are in our favor, we'll take the easy run yardage, especially with Antoine Raymond out there, as he gets another 10 that time, but an injury timeout, and that's going to be for the Trojans. Up front, the Trojans have Jayden Maiava, and that might have been the player who went off on the field. They also have 5-star recruit, true freshman Luke Waffle, who was born and raised right down the road here in New Brunswick, right down the street from Rutgers Stadium here, Shy Stadium here at Rutgers. And another give there for Raymond, gets the first down. And Luke Waffle, that 5-star defensive end, 5 sacks already in his first 2 collegiate games. If we're going to build up this Rutgers football program, we got to keep guys like that in state rather than going across the country to play for powerhouses, as we cannot get the pitch off that time, sets us back 3 yards. Now on 2nd and 13, you'll see Luke Waffle there at the right end spot on the defensive line, number 94. And here we will just go to the ground there off the RPO as Antoine Raymond, a nice cut, and he will get 6. 3rd and 7 now. We don't mind running it on 3rd down. We really do run a 4-down offense. So if it's 4th and short, we don't mind pulling the trigger. Here we have this sail concept, but it looks like it will be well covered by USC, so we'll check it to a run. And we do not get the playoff in time, and actually a false start will set us back 5. And I should have known better there. No pass attempts on this opening drive for Rutgers, but that might change right here. 3rd and 12 at the 42. As Sarace takes the snap. Looks well covered. I mean, we'll try and force it down the field for KJ Duff. Just a 6'6 frame, and we cannot get it to him. But a flag on the play. Is that defensive pass interference all the way down the field in that jump ball? And we were absolutely bailed out there with the first down. That's our Marcellus Williams, and that gives us some massive sense of fresh life here. Now into enemy territory, a fresh set of downs rather than a punt. And we will check it to a run again. A lot of funky looks in this playbook, this Rice spread option playbook, and we are still getting acclimated to it. And now here we give for Benjamin up the middle. He's met by a defender. I think that's Jayden Maiava on the stop there, one of the most disruptive interior defensive linemen in the country. And now Sarace still looking for his first completion. Again, we'll just go for KJ Duff, working back to the ball, and he makes the catch using the body. And we get a nice gain there. Now going to go RPO on some quick outs there, just reading Duff and Black. If those are going to be covered, we'll just go to the ground game. Actually, we'll go for KJ Duff, as we're going to try and get him involved this week, and that goes for 6. Now after the RPO action, we'll try and mix in the triple option, although they do have some overhang defenders to that side. Just check it to a halfback dive, and we'll see if we can get anything there with Antoine Raymond up the middle, as he does get a decent gain for 2. 5 carries for 30 yards so far here for Antoine Raymond, as we'll try and get him up the field here on this route. Actually, we'll just go right back to KJ Duff instead. If they're going to play off, I mean, we'll take that cushion every time. Only 1 or 2 catches last week for Duff, already 3 on this opening drive. All pretty short gains, though, but we'll take it. as we've eaten up already half of this first quarter of play. Going for Raymond on third down, third and short, and he was stopped in the backfield at first at least, able to break first contact and get ahead for the first down. And we are rocking right now on this opening drive from Piscataway. After that play, however, Antoine Raymond, high risk of injury there on the wear and tear, so we might have to keep him out for a little bit as we now go empty on this play. They send a blitz, we'll try and go underneath, and that's knocked down at the line. Deshaun Benjamin now the back. And here on 2nd and 10, we'll get the give, trying to work outside, trying to spin away, but good pursuit there. The USC Trojans attacking there diagonally to the line of scrimmage, and now a 3rd and 11. We'll try and get Benjamin on the wheel route. If not, maybe underneath we can get Anthony or one of the tight ends that do send pressure. We'll try and dump that off and way out of the reach there of the intended target, as that'll bring up a 4th down. So it's going to bring up a 34-yard field goal attempt here for Jai Patel. This one from the left hash with 4-mile-per-hour winds. Should be a quite easy one to hit from this distance, as that one is up, and that one into good hands as our Rutgers Scarlet Knights, a nice drive to open the game. We ate a bunch of clock, and that really is going to be the premise of this offense, especially against these higher caliber teams. USC, a top 10 team in the nation, probably a 5-star program, but if we can hang with them, just eat up over 7 minutes we ate up so far in this first quarter. Just limit the ball in their hands, and we eat all the clock, and that might be a recipe for success, as that'll bring on the USC offense with only 4:30 now remaining in the first quarter. Jayden Maiava, 5 interceptions last week against Fresno State, looking to right the ship this week, although still a 2-0 record for the Trojans at number 10 in the nation, and a very well-built team led by Lincoln Riley, one of the most prolific head coaches in all of college football. And they'll start a quick slant off the rip, and that one for 19. Despite the 5 interceptions, like I said, the Trojans a 2-0 record, and he also has added 5 rushing touchdowns, which I guess you could say has canceled out a little bit. And Waymon Jordan, his first carry, as he breaks a couple tackles and spins ahead for a tough 3. Now 2nd and 3, USC already into Rutgers territory, as Maiava from the pocket gonna throw that to a man, and that is caught, but a flag on the play, maybe holding. And they actually call offensive pass interference on Kayden Dixon-Wyatt, one of the high caliber true freshman receivers on this USC team. And I think prior to this game, we've had no defensive or offensive pass interference calls, and now in the first quarter we get one of each on USC, as our team really has been benefiting from that. They go underneath a 5-yard gain. 3rd and 8 now, USC out there empty, 4 receivers on the field. Maiava takes the snap. Gonna go to the sideline, and we got out of position there. That might have been Kevin Humes in position to make a play on the ball, but we went to user him, and then we pulled away and maybe messed up a potential incompletion there on the pass breakup. But nonetheless, USC are first down as they swing it out there. Furman breaks a tackle there off Jones, and then finally able to force him out, and that's Mark Bowman, the 2nd rated high school tight end, true freshman right now. The Trojans got themselves a good one. They now go for Jordan up the middle, and he gets the first down. Now into the red zone are the Trojans, and they go play action, going to swing that out again, as that's Gilly who gets ran over, and that's going to be a touchdown for Trojans just on a little swing out, and the receiver able to finish, barrels his way into the end zone, as the Trojans answer back with a touchdown in quick fashion at that. Maybe took more than half less the time than we did, and that is the aforementioned Mark Bowman, his first ever college touchdown, and that's special for a tight end to just swing it out to him at the 20. He breaks the first tackle, just barrels over a man, and then carries a man into pay dirt, as the Trojans take the lead now. Now here at Rutgers, starting at the 25-yard line, to race out in a rare empty set, and we'll go underneath there. We have a man, that's Allen, Vernon Allen III, and he'll get 16 off the little catch and run there on the mesh concept. He scored the first touchdown in this dynasty off a triple option. And now here, first down to the 41, less than a minute already down in this first quarter of play. We'll go back to the ground game, as Antoine Raymond dealing with a right arm injury. So we're going to see more Clay Thielen, the Louisiana Tech transfer, and some more Deshaun Benjamin as we're here into the final seconds. And that does bring us now into the second quarter of play. Rutgers kind of set the statement there, opening the drive, killing all the clock essentially. but USC a bigger statement as they countered with the touchdown, and they moved down the field very quickly. Terrell Anderson already 3 catches in this game as their top receiver, but it was Bowman, the freshman tight end, who finished for the touchdown as they found Payton on the opening drive. Jayden Maiava, just his 2nd touchdown pass now of the season, as we start this drive at the 43-yard line, 2nd and 8. And we will just check to an inside run. Some of the triple options that have you going to the tight end, and we just don't have the athletic guys quite yet to run those concepts, those options, as Benjamin 3 yards up the middle. Now we go slant bubble RPO out of pistol spread, and we might have Vernon Allen there, although the corner crashes down, makes the stop. I thought we might be able to pick up the block there, but not the case, as we are forced to punt now from about midfield, still our own territory. This might be, the spot of the field where we would tinker or think about going for it on 4th down, but early on in this game, we will just punt it, and hopefully we can get a nice bounce there to corner it, but we do not, as we miss the first tackle, and then eventually the returner brought down at the 26-yard line, so our defense needs to show some signs of life here. Giving up that easy touchdown in the opening drive. Going to try some cover 2 man here, although they do call an audible. And they do just check it to a run there for Jordan, and see he gets 6 yards. Again, USC out there empty now on 2nd and 4. As Maiava going to go for the quarterback draw, and he's going to be brought down as we had a defensive back read that all the way. That was Kevin Humes, the Maryland transfer, getting in on the stop and forcing now the 3rd and 5. The crowd is rocking here, looking for the upset. As Maiava going for a man, that's dropped. Great play on the ball there from Bradley Jones, and that was Zacharias Williams, the intended target. And that now brings the Rutgers offense back out onto the field, and Antoine Raymond still shaking up a little bit, and that of course is a huge hit to our offense. And I'll go there for Ben Rithard, the tight end. Not many catches on the season so far, but we'll take that one for 7. Good to see AJ Surace hopefully work into a rhythm. But like I said, we do want to get Dylan Lonergan on the field as well, which is really the struggle, trying to get a quarterback in rhythm, but also wanting to play both at the same time. And now on the slant there off the RPO, we go for KJ Duff, and he had a huge cushion to work with, gets 15. I think his 3rd or 4th catch already of the day. AJ Surace now 7 out of 9. He went, I think, 3 out of 8 or 4 out of 8 last week. We only had 16 total pass attempts. Gonna have to throw it a little bit more this week against USC as Clay Thielen in his first carry, no gain. Now I'll try play action read. Although I don't like the look there. I feel like they might send pressure as they do not. And we will just dump it there for Clay Thielen. As he has some space towards the sideline, works past midfield, and he gets 16. I want to say Thielen was one of the leading receivers last year for Louisiana Tech, but I could be wrong on that. But I do think he is a dynamic pass-catching threat, albeit a senior, so we won't see him after this season. And he's dragged down for a loss that time. We just got him involved in the passing game. Now let's try and dump off his screen for him and see if he can make something happen. As Thielen will get the catch there. Blocker's trying to develop, but he cut it back to the inside. He got 5. Now here on 3rd and 6 at the 39, I'm wondering if we should just play it as a 4-down territory here or try and get them on the mesh. I think we'll just stick with mesh. You always have the possibility of getting a false start when you call an audible, although pressure breaks in quickly. Was that Luke Waffle? I missed who it was coming off the edge as he was there to greet AJ Surace. So 4th and 6 at the 39. I don't see much of a benefit from punting, although maybe we'll try and jump them off sides. If we do get the penalty, we'll just suck it up and punt. But no one jumps. Try again, no one jumps again, and we'll just send it here on 4th and 6. Try and dip that in over for Allen, and he hangs. Oh, I thought he hung on. He was dragged all the way to the ground before it was jarred loose, and a valiant effort there from Vernon Allen, but he cannot hang on. AJ Surace tried to hang in there despite taking a big hit, and we turn it over on downs at the 39-yard line. I mean, not the worst turnout there, I feel like, but Waymon Jordan, another carry here, as I think that actually might be King Miller, as it was a tough run to the outside, a strong stiff arm, and our defense is really struggling to tackle here early on. Less than 5 minutes now left in the half. 7-3 Trojans. And off the RPO, man, over the middle, that's Bowman again, as he works that one past midfield for the Trojans. Another big hit in the passing game there for Maiava, as he's really been favoring that freshman tight end. Now here on 1st down, they go back to the running game there for King Miller. He's trying to work that outside, but takes a big hit as Kosh Sanders there to greet him, as he's trying to set this tone for the defense. Our captain back there in the secondary, Junior, who we're hoping doesn't transfer. He's at high risk of transferring right now. And again, King Miller, a big hole opens up the middle, that one to the 20. Now split backs in the backfield for USC. as they will go to the ground game again. That's Jones on a big hit. I'm sorry, that's Chris Joins following the lead of Sanders, setting the tone with some physical hits. Now second down after no gain on the play. They go back to the ground game there for King Miller, and he's brought down after 6. 3rd and 4 at the 14 for USC. We hit the 2-minute warning, as it seems like this game is kind of flying by so far. And now Maiava on the drop back. Time to throw, going to try and step up and run. He can, as Ty Morris there downhill makes the stop. And it is going to be 4th and inches at the 11. We will call a timeout because it was showing that they were going to go field goal, but after the timeout now it's showing that they're going to go for it, and we should have maybe not messed with it. But we'll see what happens now. 4th and inches at the 11. Man, they're in motion. As Maiava on the slant, touchdown, easy touchdown, as they get another one here in the first half. Like I said, maybe we shouldn't have called that timeout. That changed up their game plan, and I definitely have learned from that now. It does take a mistake to learn from it, and that's Terrell Anderson, their top receiver, I think 87 overall speedster at like 6'2", 200 pounds, and he has been a terror, taking the top off the defense. And that time an easy slant completion there for Maiava, his second touchdown pass of the day. And USC now up 14-3 with that extra point. And we have 150 remaining. Let's see if we can get a 2-minute drill going, get some points into halftime. Brathwaite will be on the return, and he took one to the house last week against Boston College, but this time just to the 22, so 147 remaining. We'll come out with the stick concept, and we'll actually put Benjamin back in the backfield. Antoine Raymond still a little nicked up. Hopefully he comes back healthier to start the second half. Now here on first down, Surratt's going to roll to the right and try and just get that for KJ Duff, as he had John Tez all over him. And that's John Tez Williams, one of the top cornerbacks in the nation, transferred over from Iowa State. Now it's second down for Rutgers, as Surratt, I thought we were going to have A there to the right sideline, the near sideline, but the icon never popped up. We didn't get that option, and we take a sack, unfortunately. As now 3rd and 14, we're just going to play it safe, go to the ground game. But I could have sworn that last play we had A, but when we called the snap, it just never lit up. It would not allow us to throw to him. As we now go for the run, Clay Thievenin up the middle gets 10, and we force the Trojans to call a timeout. Still with 1:33 remaining, they still have one timeout at their disposal, so plenty of time to drive it down the field to get some points. So maybe that timeout we called not only cost us a touchdown instead of a field goal, it might cost us some more points allowed if the Trojans are able to put together a drive here. And what a shank that was, as that goes for just 21-yard net. And my goodness, how we pretty much just flipped the script on how the second half was going to close out, as we are now at risk of allowing even more points. Maiava trying to dump that off, but that goes to no one. Just the second incompletion of the day for Maiava. Now second down. And then we'll go back to the ground game here out of that split back formation, and that's going to go for a first down. Now up to the 38-yard line, still with that timeout in their back pocket. As we send the blitz there, and Porter does get home, but not before Maiava gets rid of it. Still, the quarterback hit will take that. We got to try to get Maiava out of rhythm, try and shake him up a little bit, especially going into halftime. Now just a minute 3 remaining, second down. Maiava takes the snap. Going to just swing that out to his playmaker there at the near sideline. Again, that's King Miller. And another tough run there. He gets 10 in the first down. Now rushing back to the line, still keep hanging on to that timeout. Again, split backs out there. And again, they go with King Miller as he's stopped there for a short 2-yard gain. Still, the Trojans not electing to call that timeout quite yet. I don't know what they're waiting for. Now into the final 10 seconds. Over the middle, they have a man open, breaks an arm tackle. And that is going to go down to the 11-yard line. They're going to bring the hurry-up offense onto the field. Maybe call one more play, or they do call the timeout. And it looks like they are going to go for the 28-yard chip shot here from the right hash. Make it a 14-point lead. And this one from the right hash up. And that one is into good hands. And the USC Trojans steal some points here at the end of the half. And I believe they do get ball to start the second half. So another chance to pour it on here, leading 17-3. And we were hoping to at least find pay dirt here in the first half, but not the case, as Deshaun Benjamin going to knee it. And we'll call just one more play here going into halftime, try and get the rushing stats up there for the play style grade, as Thievenin behind his blocks will take that for 11 yards as we head into halftime. 17-3 here from Piscataway. We came out nice on that opening drive, kind of set the tone of what we wanted to do, but Antoine Raymond being hurt has kind of foiled our plans, as we really can't rely on our passing game too much against a team like USC, although we're going to have to step it up. I think we'll see Dylan Lonergan a little bit there in the second half, despite AJ Serace playing a pretty clean game, as we see Oklahoma tied up 10-10 against New Mexico, as they are actually 0-2 looking for their first win, which would be a major upset against the Oklahoma Sooners. John Mateer vying for a Heisman Trophy. Some other matchups around the NCAA as Texas Tech wins 45-14 over Houston in that ranked matchup. As we're now back here to Piscataway, Jayden Maiava rebounding very well off a 5-interception performance last week with 2 touchdown passes there in the first half. USC leading this conference opener 17-3. AJ Serace, a good opening drive there, has had some moments there. Just clean football is what we need from our quarterback position, but that is, when we're relying more so on Antoine Raymond, as we're 2-6 on third down, more time of possession, but we got to do more with that time, as only 3 points mustered up so far, as we're going to have to find pay dirt and do it a couple times at least if we want to come away with this huge win against a number 10 team. And the Trojans do start with the ball, so I think Waymon Jordan might have been injured if we keep seeing King Miller out there. And now Maiava to start the half does have a completion there, and that goes for 6. Again, that was Terrell Anderson. He entered this week averaging 9 catches, 115 yards per game with those first 2 performances. This time they go play action. We send the blitz, and they do get the completion there for the first down. Now first down, they're going to go on the jet touch pass, and a good redirection there as the ball carrier hit the open lane. And that was Dixon-Wyatt, one of those prized freshman receivers that USC brought in. Just a heavy recruiting class. They brought in a lot of true freshmen playing on the field here today early on in their college careers. No red shirts pretty much from this Trojans class. They're going to the sideline now as Sanders makes the tackle, but 6-yard gain for the Trojans. Now a 2nd and 4 already into Rutgers territory. Maiava going again for his man. That's caught, I believe, by Anderson again. And Maiava having an easy day so far, just carving us up. Now inside the 35 of Rutgers. Maiava gives for King Miller, and he'll be stopped after 3. 2nd and 7 now at the 31. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights fans still into it, although a big hit that time, as that was a tremendous play design by USC. A big block there in the second level. I'm not sure who that was, but someone got absolutely rocked by a Trojans receiver, I want to say that was, laying the boom as he set up his teammate for a good gain. Now into the red zone again are the Trojans as the running back swings out. A quick one there on the slant, and that's Kevin Levy there to knock it incomplete. Trent Mosley, one of those freshman receivers, in on the target, but not able to hang on. And it's now 2nd down at the 12. Pinch the line here, might go to the inside run. Maiava making some changes at the line. And they go play action over the middle, and that's caught, a gain of 5. 3rd and 5 at the 7. See if we can force the field goal attempt instead of the touchdown as they do fake the run over the middle, and that's in the hands of Ty Morris. A perfect opportunity to swing the momentum, and that would have kept it a 2-possession game, but now a field goal attempt here from the 7 makes it a 24-yard attempt. That one up into good hands, and it's now a 20-3 lead for the USC Trojans. A 17-point deficit that our Rutgers Scarlet Knights are going to have to overwrite in about a quarter and a half, and it's going to have to start on this drive. I think we will turn to Dylan Lonergan and see what he can do in this second half. We'll just give him the keys here as Dylan Brathwaite again stops short of the 20. We will just start this drive. Give here for Clay Thielen and try and get some positive yardage as he does work into the second level, makes a man miss with some good shake, and that goes for a 16-yard gain. And now Deshaun Benjamin checks into the backfield. We were going to go screen, but let's try all go. Maybe we can get Duff lucky downfield as Lonergan takes the snap, just rolling to the right, and we're trying to have to run for it instead. I know we might have had a chance there, but don't want to force it. But I also know working on the run there, not the best chance of completing a downfield pass. But we will take the 4-yard gain on the scramble. Now 2nd and 6 going for Clay Thielen, and breaks the first tackle with a nice stiff arm, but no gain. Now here with the dagger concept as Rothar in motion. And instead we'll try and get Deshaun Benjamin there. Can he make a man miss? He cannot. And he only gets 3, which will bring up 4th and 3 at the 42 now. And I mean, we got to start being a little bit more aggressive here against this USC team. On 4th and 3, it's definitely risky to go for it, but we gotta try something as Deshaun Benjamin just barely able to get the first down there, working past Jide Abasiri, the aforementioned defensive tackle, one of the best in the nation, as we keep our hopes alive in this game. Now at the 46-yard line, check it back to a run give for Jashawn Benjamin as he takes that ahead. Nice gain for 5. Now we hit the 4-minute mark here in this third quarter of play as Lonergan again rolling to the right. Going to try and go downfield for the tight end, and not enough arm strength there. We try to set and throw, but it just went into that animation where they're kind of thrown against their bodies, so it did not work out how we wanted. Now on 3rd and 5, why not? We'll try some triple option here. Lonergan going to get the pitch there for Vernon Allen, and he's not going to go anywhere except backwards as he had one man to miss there in the open field and could not do it, as USC again forces the punt here from about midfield, this time from our own 49. But let's see if we can pin him back a little bit better. Not the best results on punts so far here today, especially that last one, we shanked it. But this one might be a better result if we get a good bounce, as that'll go out at the 15-yard line. 3:07 remaining in the third. Our defense really hasn't had any answer for this USC offense. I think we forced just one punt so far. Otherwise, all scoring drives for the Trojans. Going to start there on the ground for King Miller as he's brought down there at the ankles, a 5-yard gain. And we see how much the absence of Antoine Raymond really affects our offense. He was our key, really our only consistent contributor offensively in the first 2 weeks, as again, Mark Bowman gets the first down catch. 4th catch of the day to match last week's total, although his receiving yardage total is just a little bit short, but he does have the touchdown this week. Now first down to 32 for USC. Up the middle as they get great push up front, and Kosh Sanders going downhill. Another big hit for the safety, but another big gain for the Trojans, as King Miller has been the feature back here, not Waymon Jordan. Now 1:20 left in the third. Maiava going to be sacked for the first time in this game, and that's Jayden Burnett, the Tulsa transfer. He's been probably our most prominent pass rusher so far in this dynasty, along with Malachi Davis, the transfer edges we have, one from Toledo and Burnett from Tulsa, as he was one of their leading pass rushers last season, coming over to Rutgers. Originally stopped there on that spin move, but Maiava kind of just rolled right into him, and he was able to get the much-needed sack. We needed to force them back some way, shape, or form. Now hopefully we can take advantage with a stop on this set of downs. Now over the middle, it's Bowman again making it catch. And that 2nd and 18 is now 3rd and 3 as they're at the 50-yard line. 10 seconds left in the third quarter. Man in motion, and he does get the call. Does not cut it inside like he did last time, but still the persistence to get the job done through congestion. Again, that was Dixon-Wyatt. I thought we had guys there, in the vicinity to make the stop, but they are unable to do so as we now enter the fourth quarter. Very underwhelming offensive performance. 166 total yards of offense for our Rutgers Scarlet Knights. 2 and 8 on 3rd down. But I mean, we didn't really expect too much entering the week. We were able to tear up Boston College, albeit a pretty poor Boston College defense. We knew a much tougher test here today against the Trojans. And despite how they've really taken it to us, I think we have been able to kind of stand with them despite our lack of plays on offense and pretty much lack of stops on defense. But I mean, all things considered, I think we're hanging with them as they get 4 yards there on that first give to open this fourth quarter of play. Next week, a much more manageable opponent in the Marshall Thundering Herd, so come back for that, as hopefully we can get back into the win column. And another good catch over the middle, breaking the first tackle and getting the first down. Maiava now 20 out of 25 passing for 224, 2 touchdowns. No interceptions this week. Off the RPO there, he keeps it, and he does have some space going upfield. As he's hit hard, he fumbles, and we pick that up. Chris Joynes scoops it as Maiava trying to make something happen with his legs. And despite trailing by 17 on the scoreboard, we're now up in the turnover differential, and that is an area that we're very focused on excelling in. Last week we were -2, I believe, with 3 interceptions. Offensively, we had 1 defensively, and that's Bradley Jones on the scoop up there. A big hit, as they are taking to the replay, though, to make sure it was a clean fumble, and I think it was. And they are going to call it a clean fumble, so a much-needed turnover there forced on defense. Still trailing by 3 possessions with 10:30 remaining, but still time to muster up some dignity, some confidence, and some momentum going into next week. Even a touchdown at this point feels like it would do a lot for the psyche. Now there, we'll try and set it up for Ben Black up the sideline as he gets 6. Try the stick and nod concept here now as Benjamin there in motion. Lonergan takes the snap, pocket collapsing. He will step up, just run, as he dives ahead, gets 11. I've been surprised to see that Lonergan, for the most case, has been more prone to use his legs compared to Sarace. And now we'll go back to the ground game there for Jashawn Benjamin as he works that to midfield, an 8-yard gain. Now we're going to try a jet touch pass here for KJ Duff, get him back and involved in the offense. Not a traditional, play call for him, as he does make a man miss there on the juke just a yard or two, as he'll bring up 3rd and inches. And we're actually going to call an audible here. Try and put KJ Duff on a 9 route. We fail here, we'll just go for it on 4th down. As Lonergan going to try and get that to the sideline. He gets that for Guerriere, and he has a nice gain up the sideline. That'll go for 28. Guerriere, one of our reserve running backs, really just out there because of the injury to Antoine Raymond. Now getting Clay Thievenen back involved, nothing doing up the middle. Go RPO alert Omaha now. Again with those quick outs to Duff or Black. As we were going to try and get Duff, but it went to the exchange a little too quickly, which prompted us to dive instead there with Thievenen. So that'll bring up 3rd and 8 instead as Lonergan takes the snap. Again, rolling to the right. Nothing doing, just going to try and force one downfield for Allen. And again, the ball in his hands, but he can't make the play. And that'll bring up 4th and 8. I mean, we could go for a field goal, make it a 2-possession game, but we're already down here with less than 5:30 left in the game. Might as well just go for it here as Lonergan takes the snap. When in doubt, go for KJ Duff over the middle as we try to, but Jontez Williams all over him, one of the best DBs in the country, the transfer from Iowa State, as he was all over KJ Duff in that situation. So we turn it over on downs again, this time in the red zone, but at this point in the game, we really just had to go for it. And now USC a quick hit there in the passing game. I'm expecting them to just run it from here on out at this point, as we're now less than 5 minutes of game time, but looks like they're still leaning on the passing attack. Oh, they are draining the clock at least, and they swing it out there. Great blocking from the receivers, as has been the case most of the way. And that one a big gain. Maiava now over 250 passing. So definitely a lot to learn from this game. I think like I said, I don't think we played horrible, but just, of course, did not do enough to compete really. As up the seam there for Bowman, he breaks the tackle, as this one going to inflate the score even more. And that's why I was kind of tempted to go for the field goal, just so it didn't look so bad on the scoreboard. But I think at the end of the day, we know how we played. We know how close it really was, despite nothing on offense. I think we had some flashes, but at the end of the day, you got to consider where we're at and where this number 10 USC Trojans team is at. I think a 2-0 start to the season was very good, and we can definitely get back on the right track next week as we take on the Marshall Thundering Herd, a much more capable opponent. But after that, we host the national champions, as we'll have the Indiana Hoosiers here in week 5, with now 3:51 remaining. Let's just try and get out of this one unharmed, as Lonergan will just dump that off for the running back, caught by Thievenen, a lot of space up the sideline, and so worked that for 19. Thievenen now 3 catches for 40 yards, as he's making his impact felt there. Still Antoine Raymond shaking up on the wear and tear, so just going to keep him out the remainder. And again, Lonergan going for a back, and again that's Thievenen, but knocked out. Now 2nd down. We were thinking quick slants, but I don't really like how it's looking. Instead, maybe smash corners. We'll see how that goes. Lonergan takes the snap. Try for Rathar there. Bad read, and we're almost picked off. We haven't forced many bad throws in this game, but that one definitely was a bad one. Now 3rd down here, as we're really just trying to force a lot here down the stretch. And again, that one for Thievenen, incomplete. Now at risk of yet another turnover on downs. And why do we have Blake in the back? We really need a traditional fullback on this roster. I don't like this look. And we already called a timeout because I didn't like the previous look. So we are forced here to call a play. Smash there to Guerriere, not ideal. What about triple option? As that would be for Thievenen at least. So 4th down, we'll go triple option. As we'll pitch it there for Thievenen. He's met immediately by defender. And again, we go turnover on downs. I mean, probably should have threw it in that situation. As now USC set up for more points here as they continue to pour it on maybe. Hopefully just going to run it out though. Maybe we should have just ran it out ourselves because we didn't know they were going to be running up the score. And again, they get a nice completion there at the sideline. And of course, that does stop the clock. So we are on full-on blowout watch, if not already, as they're set for another touchdown here. Maiava takes the snap over the middle as that's caught short of the line to gain at least. So that will have the clock continuing to run, although not quite to the 2-minute warning. That'll take one more play. Hopefully we can keep them out of the end zone. And now Maiava going to give for King Miller, and Ty Morris read that one all the way for the big hit. Our leading tackler entering this week, but not so active this week, until that very moment pretty much. But we will take the stop as now we do hit the 2-minute warning. Now 3rd and 5 at the 13 for USC. And again, they go for the ground game there for King Miller, and he will get the first down. And hopefully at this point they show some mercy on us and just run it or knee it, as it looks like they will call a play into the final 90 seconds. Man in motion. And again, he gets that little pop pass to the edge, and that's Moses Walker there to make a very nice tackle at the 1-yard line. They were right there for pay dirt. And it looks like, again, they are going to call a play as we're into the final minute now. Can we just keep this a 27-23 game? We'll call a timeout. Maybe that'll mess with their play call like it did earlier and just force them to take a knee instead. But that does not seem to be the case, as they're going for more touchdowns here. After 5 interceptions from Maiava last week, they had to get some dignity back and crush our spirit as yet another touchdown for USC. So the biggest takeaway in this game, we just got to figure out things offensively. I mean, obviously defensively as well, but it was those turnover on downs, those aggressive play calls that we had towards the end of the game that put our defense in bad situations. We had 3 points on the opening drive, but nothing after that. But hopefully you stuck it out as I did. And this is a tough loss, but it just goes to show how much room we need to grow and just how much we need to turn over this roster, as the USC Trojans a statement win here, as they were on the heels of a close win last. I mean, not really a close win, but the 5 interceptions from Maiava had a lot of skeptics going and talking, but they shut all that down. They put all that to bed after a huge performance this week. Really took it to us. We'll call one more play here, as they're just giving us the light box. We'll just rack up the rushing yards here with Thievenen as he maneuvers to the sideline. And actually, let's just play into the hand a little bit, try and see if we can get something going on the last-ditch triple option, but this will be when we turn it over. Actually, we're not even going to do that. We're not going to be that silly. We'll just give it to Thievenen one more time, give him some more rushing yards, and get out of this one as the USC Trojans come into Piscataway, and they hand us a 34-3 loss. And like I've been saying, this just goes to show how much growth, how much progression we need to go through in this dynasty if we want to compete with teams like USC, like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State here in this tumultuous Big Ten conference. Maiava 332 passing, 3 touchdowns, 80% completion, more than that actually, as he really rewrote and rebounded from a tough performance last week where he threw 5 interceptions against the Fresno State Bulldogs. That tight end, forget his name escapes me at this point, as he escaped our defense all day. I think that Mark Bowman, he had a touchdown, his first college touchdown, and USC just really tore us up. King Miller, a good impact on the ground. Defensively, Jontez Williams really clamped KJ Duff after what looked to be a good opening drive for him. He didn't have many touches, if any. Later on in the game, AJ Surace 9 out of 14 for 83 yards. Started pretty clean, but just couldn't get us over the top. Dylan Lonergan 5 for 11 as we were already trailing pretty bad. 58 passing yards, a lot of those to Clay Thievenen on just dump-offs, as he did lead our team with 67 rushing yards in this game. Antoine Raymond was off to a hot start with 5.5 yards per clip before an arm injury would keep him out the rest of the game. Receiving, KJ Duff 5 for 38. We need to try and get him on some deep field targets in the next week against Marshall. Clay Thievenen led with 41 receiving yards. Burden Allen III had some. Ed Guerriere, 1 catch for 28 yards. I do remember that one. Defensively, it was a tough showing, but like I said, we put our defense in a lot of tough spots with those failed 4th down conversions. But Kosh Sanders was everywhere for us as they broke into the second level constantly, but he was there to be our backline defender, our last line of defense essentially, as he racked up 13 tackles to lead our team. Jaden Burnett, 1 sack, led our team. We definitely needed some more pass rush in this game, and we made our only field goal attempt of 34 yards on the opening drive, our only source of points in this game, as it was a very poor showing really all around. But as bad of a defeat it was, losing, what was it, 31-3, I do think we can come away with some bright spots and some positive takeaways despite the thumping that we just underwent. And it was actually 2 touchdowns for Mark Bowman, so these freshmen for the Trojans really showing out. Mark Bowman at tight end. You have Dixon-Wyatt here at receiver, 7 catches for 53. Their top receiver, Terrell Anderson, had a very good game, 7 for 79, a touchdown. That was his first of the season. And Jontez Williams, an All-American, more than likely, 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and absolutely clamped our defense. Jide Abasiri had a tackle for loss, a great presence there on the interior, along with Jamion Winfield, a true freshman, a 5-star recruit, and he had 2 tackles for loss in his first career sack in this game. So we didn't turn the ball over at all. We actually won the turnover differential, but that was not enough to win this game. But we'll now advance into week 4, and we did have a few recruits in attendance there, So hopefully that big loss we just suffered does not sway them. But we are going to grow over the course of this season, over the course of this dynasty. And this 34-3 defeat we just suffered is going to be on the forefront of our mind. And we're going to use that to get better and improve as a team, as a football program, as a culture. We don't sulk on the losses, we grow from them. And that's exactly what the mantra of this team is. We're just always looking to better ourselves. And even though we just lost by a lot, Dylan Freeman is still buying in from Rochester, New York, our first commit of this dynasty, the 3-star gem defensive tackle, gap specialist. And we get another commit there, a hard commit from Peter Spann, offensive tackle out of Camden, New Jersey. Like I said last episode, coming out of Camden, he has the toughness, the tenacity to make it at this level. So offensive tackle and defensive tackle, two of our biggest needs. And we already signed 2 here going into week 4. And both of them hard commits at that, as we do level up at least. And I did see there that we missed out on Emmanuel Kitchen, as he is now a verbal commit to Cincinnati. But he does visit week 5, so if he can hold out until that week 5 visit against Indiana, maybe we can steal him from Cincinnati and poach him from out of state. But if that visit goes well for him, does it show us who the opponent is for Cincinnati in that week 4 game? I guess not, but Emmanuel Kitchen, one of the many defensive tackles we were hoping to get in this class, as he now gives that verbal commit to Cincinnati. So it's at this point, it's like, do we pull out that 50 hours that we're pouring in on him and put that elsewhere, or do we continue to buy in and hopefully flip him from Cincinnati? I guess we will play it out one more week and see if that week 4 visit is enough for him to hard commit to Cincinnati and stay in state. Even though we have a hard commit here from Peter Spann, our deal breaker for playing style is currently at a D, so we really need to step that up if he's going to stay committed to Rutgers. And we got that hard commit here from Dylan Freeman, a gem defensive tackle. We committed 160 NIL to him, by far the most we gave to a player here in the opening phases of recruiting, with 78 strength, 75 speed, 76 finesse move, and 75 block shed, with 86 tackle and 83 hit power. So he is going to be a force there on the interior. Pretty well rounded, need that power rush to go up a little bit, but 6'1", 287, plays with low center of gravity and very good leverage there at defensive tackle. And Peter Spann out of Camden, New Jersey, agile archetype with 80 pass block, 76 run block, and really all the traits look pretty good besides that 70 pass block power. But you gotta love that 83 impact block and the 80 acceleration. So that gives us now 2 out of 5 3-star commits to meet our athletic director goal. We might even hit that by mid-season. Hopefully we have Ian Moeller coming in for week 5, a gem guard prospect. We have CJ Kiernan, who I think we scheduled for week 5, but after getting locked out, maybe that was nixed. I'm not sure about that. It says he has no weeks available for visits, but he only has 1 visit scheduled right now for East Carolina in week 9. So that probably just goes into the deal breaker. So we're going to have to step up our playing style for these offensive tackles, especially if we want to keep Peter Spann. He is an athlete offensive tackle, so could probably play on the offensive or defensive line at 6'4", 284. But besides that, it looks like Moeller is next in line to commit. Hopefully we can keep him over Syracuse and East Carolina, now bidding for him. Also Eric Steinberg. We need a few linebackers in this class. He's really the only one we're looking at this point. And he's also coming in week 5 against Indiana. 6'2", 208 out of New Brunswick. Same story there for Luke Waffle, also a New Brunswick native, but he went to play for USC. We're trying to keep Eric Steinberg here in Jersey, although Steinberg a 3-star recruit compared to Waffle, who was a 5-star recruit, which brings us to Emmanuel Kitchen, the soft commit now to Cincinnati. We'll stay committed to him and see what happens in the next phase. Looks like Greg McNeil, 6 foot 309 out of York, Pennsylvania, actually an offensive tackle athlete, but at 6 foot even, he's not playing offensive tackle, probably a center or a defensive tackle for the York, Pennsylvania native. Taylor Stein, defensive end, we're going to bump up from 15 hours probably to 50, with now 150 hours at our disposal. And then Randall Badgett here, the last prospect we're pouring resources in on at this moment, but I really liked his skill set with the 86 strength, so he could play up on the defensive line maybe with good size already at 6'3", 228 out of Jersey City, New Jersey. But this is where I'm going to leave, folks. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was a tough episode. Hopefully you were able to stomach it as much as I am. Surprisingly, I don't feel too bad despite that huge loss. You just got to understand we're in the early stages of this dynasty. We're not going to win every game, and we might even get blown out bad against the top teams in this tumultuous, treacherous Big Ten conference. But hopefully you come back, as we're going to take on the Marshall Thundering Herd, a more easy opponent as we ease back hopefully into the win column, and a win next week streak would put us halfway already to bowl eligibility, as we really have to rely on those out-of-conference games to rack up some wins, because it doesn't get any easier in conference, as proven in this episode. But leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. Would you have stuck it out, or would you have quit halfway and, maybe went for the sim or just tried again? But we're transparent on the channel. We take our licks when they come, and we take our victories when they come as well. But as always, everybody, it's been real, and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.